back on the Sports Zone. I am Mike Aglialoro. So we've looked at the top 20 wide receivers for the 2014 fantasy football season. Now we're going to look at 5 guys I feel are just being undervalued in drafts this year. This started out as I was doing the rankings over the last few weeks. I've noticed that a lot of guys have really fallen out of the top 20, not just at wide receiver, but in running back due to the depth, especially at the wide receiver position. So we're going to look at some guys who are going to be falling pretty late who you need to take advantage of for this season. Number 1 on this list is going to be Roddy White of the Atlanta Falcons. For the first time I can remember, I'm not seeing him in the top 20 in either Yahoo or ESPN rankings, and it's because he was hurt for the majority of last season. But what people are forgetting is that last season was his first year under 1,000 yards receiving since 2006. And he's still got Julio Jones going opposite him, and he's still got Matt Ryan throwing his passes. Take advantage of what other people are just letting go under the radar and take Roddy White. If you take him as your 3rd wide receiver, he's still got some number 1 receiving chops left in him. Take advantage of that. The next guy we're going to look at is Torrey Smith of the Baltimore Ravens. Coming off of his 3rd season in the league, his best statistical season in the league so far, with 65 receptions for 1,128 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. And the reason why the touchdowns were so few and far between last year is because he was the only legitimate passing weapon Joe Flacco had at his disposal. Now with Dennis Pitta, the tight end, healthy, and Steve Smith as his number 2 wide receiver, you got a lot more options on that field for Flacco to choose for, and I look for Torrey Smith to well surpass every number he had last year. Number 3 on this list is going to be Emmanuel Sanders, newly of the Denver Broncos. Coming off of his best season of his career as well, 67 receptions for 740 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. And you are now giving him Peyton Manning throwing him his passes. He's another one who's going to be ranked between 20 and 30. Take advantage of that if you can. Number 4 on the list is going to be the guy Sanders is replacing in Denver, Eric Decker, who I've seen ranked as low as 40th on the ESPN and Yahoo lists. Now, we know that both of the 1,000-yard receiving seasons he's had in his career have come with Peyton Manning as his quarterback. And the last 2 seasons, he has had over 10 touchdowns with Peyton Manning as his quarterback. But I'm going to give a little more credit to the Jets' receiving game than I really think anybody else is going to. Michael Vick or Geno Smith, whoever winds up being the starting quarterback, is going to have a much better receiving crop to work with this year. Not just with Eric Decker, but with the rookie tight end Jason Morrow at his disposal. They did draft 3 rookie wide receivers, and you could expect at least one of them to be heavily involved in the passing game. They did go out and sign Jacoby Ford with the Oakland Raiders, who has been a decent receiver over the last few years. They really haven't done anything as a whole the last few seasons, but if you take the new additions with Jeremy Curley still there and even Stephen Hill, and you push them down the depth chart as they have been pushed down, and I gotta be honest, if you take Eric Decker as your 3rd or 4th wide receiver, I really think he's going to surprise you this season. And I think he's going to blow away being ranked 35 on the Yahoo list. Last guy we're going to talk about on this list is going to be Kendall Wright of the Tennessee Titans. In his 3rd season in the league, he topped career highs with 94 receptions, 1,079 receiving yards, and only 2 receiving touchdowns. Numbers that I expect to greatly go up this year. He's really the only legitimate wide receiver you see on the Titans receiving corps, if you don't count Justin Hunter, who still has a lot to prove in my eyes. But Kendall Wright, number 5 on this list, you'll probably rank him higher if you're in a PPR league with the 94 receptions last season. But I like him. He's someone I expect to top every number he had last season. So once again, the 5 wide receivers I feel are undervalued entering fantasy drafts this season: Roddy White of the Atlanta Falcons, Torrey Smith of the Baltimore Ravens, Emmanuel Sanders of the Denver Broncos, Eric Decker of the New York Jets, and Kendall Wright of the Tennessee Titans. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at We Are SportsZone. Send us any questions and comments you may have. Thanks everyone for watching. For This is SportsZone, I am Mike Aglialoro. We'll see you next time, folks.